You're watching ABC7 News at 7.
You're not always just reacting to what the FAA is saying. You're going hopefully well beyond it and running any kind of a flight operation or a maintenance operation.
Airliners with known mechanical problems are still being given the green light to fly. With the recent problems being reported, what needs to be done now? We investigate. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on deferred maintenance in a moment, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. It was right here on this broadcast 2 years ago we first heard the incredible allegation Disney was laying off its workers, hiring foreign replacements, and forcing those laid off IT workers to train their own replacements. Tonight, those former Disney workers are giving up, dropping the massive lawsuit against the company. ABC7's Jess Dowdrick joins us from Orlando to explain why.
Alan, 250 IT workers from Disney were called into a conference room back in October of 2014 and laid off. But before they left, they were told they had to train their replacements or they wouldn't get their severance pay. The replacements were from India. Now, after years of lawsuits, these former employees say they're giving up because, unfortunately, what Disney did is legal. Sarasota attorney Sarah Blackwell has represented 30 of those 250 Disney employees that were laid off. 3 of them standing by her side Wednesday as she uttered the words, quote, "We lost." Blackwell has filed several lawsuits at the state and federal level fighting for these Disney employees. Blackwell explaining that legally you aren't allowed to fire anyone based off of a protected status like nationality, age, or gender. But Blackwell says Disney got around that because when these 250 workers lost their jobs, their replacements weren't hired by Disney, but instead contracted through another company. Blackwell blamed Senator Bill Nelson and President Donald Trump for promising to change this loophole in the law, then doing nothing about it. These former Disney employees campaigned for Trump, speaking at his rallies, and now we're saying he's let them down.
Week after week after week, we waited for that date to come along, and we just all knew Trump was going to do something, anything within his power, to change this problem. We waited, and nothing, not a word. He said nothing, he did nothing. He left the millions of Americans hurt by this business model who voted for him because of his promise to stop the problem, feeling very discouraged and shocked.
Blackwell says that Disney isn't the only American company using this loophole to hire foreign workers. She says she'll keep fighting for American worker rights until something changes. Reporting in Orlando, Jess Dowdrick, ABC7, your Suncoast News.
One is good is 2 better. Sarasota Memorial Hospital and Venice Regional have both asked for state approval to build new hospitals in Venice. SMH would like to build on Laurel Road and Venice Regional at Jacaranda and Venice Avenue. After a legal battle, the hospitals both are receiving approval. The CEOs both say they welcome the competition.
I think it will raise the quality of care in the community by having competition. We have people that choose us. We have people that choose Sarasota Memorial now.
I have no problem with them having a hospital down an exit away. I welcome it because I think that makes everyone just that much better.
There's one more round of approvals needed until the hospitals can officially start building. A Bradenton man will spend the rest of his life behind bars for shooting another man in the face. Mauro Ramirez received the maximum sentence after he was convicted of attempted second-degree murder. Investigators say Ramirez was involved in the shooting outside of El Pisano's restaurant on 15th Street East in Onico last June. The club's bouncer was able to wrestle the gun away from Ramirez and hold him until deputies arrived. The victim, who was 21 years old at the time, survived. Today, law enforcement across the Suncoast honoring a fallen Highlands County Sheriff's deputy. Early this morning, a 20-car motorcade escorted Deputy William Gentry Jr. to Tampa from Lee Memorial Hospital in Fort Myers. I-75 was lined the entire way to Tampa with tributes, including Sarasota County Sheriff's deputies, Northport Police, Northport firefighters, and the Florida Highway Patrol. The Highland County Sheriff's officer says every overpass was red and blue in salute. A frantic search is underway for a boy inside a retention pond in Orlando, where it's believed a gator might have dragged him under. Someone called 911 around 1 p.m. this afternoon, saying they saw a teenage boy flailing his arms in the water while screaming. The caller adding the boy was shouting that it bit him, but they have canvassed the neighborhood and no one has reported the young boy missing. Authorities also say neighborhood residents have previously reported the presence of a 6-foot alligator in the retention pond. Governor Rick Scott on the campaign trail in Venice today. The governor visited PGT Innovations, a business that builds high-performance windows and doors. It also is Sarasota County's biggest employer. The governor wants Congress to require a 2/3 vote of each house to approve any tax or fee increase before it can become law. Not a single primary vote has been cast, but the field of Republican candidates for governor is down to 2. House Speaker Richard Corcoran dropping his potential bid to governor and endorsing Agriculture Commissioner Adam Putnam, citing the cost of running a statewide campaign. Corcoran has reevaluated his bid to succeed Governor Rick Scott. Today's announcement cements a matchup in the Republican primary between Putnam and Congressman Ron DeSantis.
Once I made the decision that I wasn't going to run, I'm definitely not someone who sits on the sidelines, and it took all of 2.2 seconds for me to utter the name Adam Putnam in my mind and say, I'm going to get out and I'm going to support Adam.
To have the endorsement, to have the support of someone who knows Florida so well and is so passionate about Florida's future and is such a principled conservative means everything in the world to me.
Whoever wins the Republican primary will face one of 4 Democratic gubernatorial candidates in November's general election. Now, let's head over to ABC7's chief meteorologist Bob Harrigan with the first alert forecast. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. Another hot day today, but the humidity quite low and high pressure continuing to dominate the weather right now. Situated over the northeast Gulf of Mexico, it'll be kind of dancing around all across the state on Thursday and Friday. By Saturday, it eventually ends up to the east of us, and we'll get more of an east to southeasterly wind flow, which will start to drag some of this moisture with it and put it in place just in time for Mother's Day. We're going to see increasing clouds. We're already starting to see some high clouds around right now, but things for us are going to stay dry, and will be about 5 to 7 degrees above average, it looks like, over the next couple of days anyway. And as far as we're concerned, we are going to see some showers come back into play as more moisture moves in on Sunday, and those showers will stick around through Monday right now. As far as the satellite imagery goes, the replay showing some of those high clouds streaming off to the northeast, kind of obscuring the sunset this evening. We may get some breaks in that. Current conditions, 81 degrees, so things have cooled down a little bit as sunshine and that sea breeze has kicked in. So we went from temperatures into the mid 80s down into the low 80s just recently, and the humidity at 56%. Well, here's a look at the trend as we take you through Saturday. You'll notice quite a bit of clouds around according to the forecast model, and then we'll see some showers moving in, even the possibility of some thunderstorms on Sunday and Monday, unfortunately, but we need the rainfall. So whatever happens, you know, is good, even though it's on the weekend. We are going to see some rainfall back in the picture.
How much are we down?
We're down about 4 inches right now. In some areas not because of the isolated showers, but we could use a lot more rain. And, you know, long-range models are indicating we may see something not next week, but the week after that could bring us some much-needed rain. All
right, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, how safe are the airliners we are flying in? Stick around.
Northland Outdoors is about so much more than the biggest fish or the hottest hunting spots. All across the Northland, there are amazing people with incredible stories to tell. We're going to find those stories and share them with everyone. Join us each and every week as we explore the Northland and experience some of the most exciting outdoor adventures in the country right here in our own backyard. This is Northland Outdoors.
When I was growing up, my mom told us, always treat others the way you want to be treated. She did business with companies that shared her values, like Mutual of Omaha. She had a guaranteed whole life insurance policy through United of Omaha Life Insurance Company, a Mutual of Omaha company. When my mother passed away, her United of Omaha policy helped cover her funeral expenses and bills, and they had money on its way to us within 24 hours.
United of Omaha is here to take care of you. When you call the number on your screen, we'll help find the right policy for you. If you're between 45 and 85, you can get coverage up to $25,000 with no medical exam. Call us right now at the number on your screen.
Now I know I'll be taking care of my family, even after I'm gone.
United of Omaha guaranteed whole life insurance. Call or go online now. Be there for their future.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With Guaranteed Acceptance Whole Life Insurance through TrueStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call. TrueStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
And even if you're on a fixed income, prices fit your budget, starting at less than 32 cents a day. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease. And with no medical tests or health questions, you cannot be turned down for any reason. Call 1-800-842-7189. Now, for a free, no-obligation quote, TrueStage offers plans to fit your budget. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with Guaranteed Acceptance Whole Life Insurance through TrueStage. Call 1-800-842-7189 now.
Keep up with the Suncoast. Watch your favorite ABC7 shows on your streaming device.
For the last few weeks, we have been bombarded with harrowing tales of near mid-air disasters caused by maintenance problems on several airlines. Some of those airlines fly in and out of the Suncoast. Tonight, Adam Cellini on what you need to be concerned about.
So far, 2018 has been a rough year for air travel. A CBS 60 Minutes report scrutinized Allegiant Airlines for a perceived poor maintenance record. Just days after the Sarasota Bradenton International Airport welcomed their first Allegiant flight.
I haven't seen any change. They seem to be full all the time.
Those flights are nonstop from SRQ to Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and Indianapolis. And airport president Rick Piccolo says they're on safe planes.
Everything they're flying in here is their newer Airbus aircraft they've acquired, so I don't think the public has anything to be concerned about regardless.
But after 60 Minutes put a spotlight on safety, tragedy struck. Part of an engine fan broke mid-air on a Southwest airline flight, killing a passenger for the first time in the carrier's 47-year history. New York Senator Chuck Schumer instantly pointed the finger towards the Federal Aviation Administration. In a letter showing FAA enforcement and fines for airline maintenance has dropped 70% since 2014. According to aviation attorney Anthony Eisen, it's not because planes are safer.
Perhaps the FAA is becoming a little too lax with enforcement measures because of the compliance philosophy.
That compliance philosophy was adopted in 2015. The thought, lowering punishment promotes self-reporting. Then the FAA can help fix the problem. Eisen said it's been good for pilots, but potentially bad for maintenance.
And so the threat of there not being a civil penalty, I think, would probably encourage an air carrier to maybe skirt the rule a little bit more.
The FAA allows planes to operate with certain mechanical problems. It's called deferred maintenance, and it almost caused a collision at Tampa International Airport in 2016. We found a report of a Boeing 737 leaving Tampa with a broken auxiliary power unit, meaning they needed external power to start the engines. This distracted the pilot, causing him to send false information to the tower, which then caused two planes to taxi on a collision course. It's far from life-threatening, but it's why former designated FAA examiner Buck Greenlaw refuses to fly low-cost carriers like Allegiant.
I think part of the problem is the culture of the company. They have a history of maintenance problems, well known in the industry.
Another problem, says the former aviation consultant, the now common practice of outsourcing repair work.
They farm their maintenance out, which is not bad. You have a separate entity that is dealing with the maintenance. I think that may be part of the problem.
Still, any aviation professional will tell you the Southwest death is the first in nearly a decade of commercial air travel, as millions more died on our roadways during a similar period of time.
I have a great deal of faith in the FAA. They've done a wonderful job.
Can others now keep the faith the next time they buy a plane ticket? In Sarasota, Adam Cellini, ABC7, your Suncoast News.
The FAA is still without a permanent leader since former director Michael Erta stepped down earlier this year. Some of the people we spoke to for this story wonder if enforcement and fines will become a focus for the next director. We're on Final Approach. The Trapezoid, it's next.
The following message is brought to you by Mesobook.com.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. How did I get this disease? What are my treatment options? How will this affect my loved ones? You need answers, which is why we offer a free book written by medical professionals who have treated mesothelioma.
Call toll-free at 1-800-777-1366 or go to Mesobook.com.
My credit score was not that great.
I didn't understand what went into my credit score. It was overwhelming.
Do you want to attain better credit health but don't know where to start? Credit Sesame can help by providing you a free credit score.
I love the app. It's so easy to use. It's like having your own financial coach. Credit Sesame broke my credit score down into things that I understood, and it made me think I can do this.
And the awesome thing about Credit Sesame, it's free.
It's 100% free.
You don't need to go it alone. Get started today at creditsesame.com.
Stay connected to your clients and new customers using ABC7 digital media services. Our team of professionals provide a wide array of digital services to help you get the most out of your website. We specialize in building and helping you maintain the most effective digital solutions for your business. It's vital that your online presence stands out, so our experts will equip you with the best resources available. Trust ABC7 digital media services to give you the right tools to grow your business.
We're losing exotic animals on a daily basis, and the ones that we have in captivity are really the ambassadors for their wild counterparts. I'm Clayton Rozier from the Big Cat Habitat and Gulf Coast Sanctuary, housing over 150 exotic animals that needed a great home. And if you love animals, please help them. Do it locally. Support your local no-kill shelters, your local wild animal sanctuaries. Make a difference where you can.
Welcome back. For years, there have been stories about how some airlines actually defer fixing broken parts or systems, and it's all legal. The Federal Aviation Administration has specific timeframes for repairs of certain items. Most people have no idea until something goes wrong. A passenger on board a Southwest flight was recently killed when an engine exploded, sending shrapnel into the cabin. 60 Minutes just did an investigation into deferred maintenance on the Legion Airlines, which flies in and out of SRQ and other local airports. And joining us for more is Buck Greenlaw, a former aviation consultant. And Buck, help us here, because in Adam's story you said you would not fly low-cost airlines like Allegiant, but then you had Rick Piccolo, who's head of the airport, say no problem here. They're flying newer aircraft.
Well, that is true. They, for years, had a number of the older MD-80 series aircraft, which had serious problems with maintenance because these were 20 to 30-year-old airplanes. But yes, but one of the biggest problems from my experience, is that it's a culture that is still there. I think that's something that's very, very difficult to change.
Well, let me ask you about that, because, and I've done a number of stories over the years about deferred maintenance issues, and some people point to basically a contradicting mission statement of the FAA, that part of their job is to promote the airline industry. The other part is to hold airlines accountable and make sure that the aircraft are safe, and sometimes
they do. Absolutely, both at the airline level and at the general aviation level, because that's the sort of thing that I have experienced as well. So it is difficult, it really is. But I would point out, I think that airline flying overall is far safer than it used to be let's say pre-80 as compared to today. Personally, I have never had, in all my experience, I've never had a problem.
All right, we have to take a quick break, and we'll be back with Buck in just a moment.
I heard about the Dotoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Dotoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was. I can tell you that you will not find a finer, more professional team of clinicians anywhere in the world.
Experience the classical music celebration May 11th and 12th at the historic Sarasota Opera House. World-class musicians include guitar duo Charisma, currently touring with Andrea Bocelli. Tickets available online or by phone.
Ever since I can remember, I've been intrigued by industrial design and the optimization.
Wait, that's passion? Ever since I can remember, my passion has been industrial design. We need 3D printers for Miss Adams' engineering program so that we are ready to solve 21st century challenges.
Impressive. Think It Up is a new initiative to support student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classroom today? Think It Up.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help, and slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
There was this big bruise on my friend's face. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to think her own nephew could have hit her.
I didn't want to see it. My mother's bank account was emptied, and a caregiver had taken control of it.
I didn't want to see it. My father's refrigerator, there was hardly anything in it. That's unusual for him.
It's tough to see that a senior citizen is being abused, physically, emotionally, sexually, or financially. Elder abuse is a crime.
So see the signs. Stop the crimes.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7, your Suncoast News.
How experiencing trauma as a child may influence pain in adulthood in Health Smart.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Welcome back. We're talking about deferred maintenance on airliners, and joining us for more is Buck Greenlaw, a former aviation consultant. Buck, one of the problems in our neck of the woods around here, whether we're talking about Sarasota International, Bradenton International Airport, or even Tampa, is that these are not major hubs, and therefore when an airplane breaks here, you do not have a large maintenance department that can fix big things.
Absolutely. So they typically have someone come in from, if it's Delta, from Atlanta or whatever the airline is.
And that's how we have situations where, as I mentioned, you can defer maintenance on certain, even flight critical items for a certain amount of period under certain circumstances.
Yes, as long as there's something that can offset that, that will duplicate that. That's a very, very fine line there, I think, because when you look at the manuals that are approved for the airlines, you may see slight differences between, let's say, Deltas and Americans and Uniteds. It's how it's approved by the FAA, and they're supposed to be following that manual to the detail.
And another, you mentioned manuals, and that's fortuitous because the whole way airlines maintain their aircraft has changed over the years. They used to have large facilities where they would do this kind of work, but more and more, correct me if I'm wrong, they're sending these aircraft to Mexico or South America or even China to get them repaired. We don't have to worry about folks from Central America coming into the country and taking our jobs. No. We're sending it to them.
Absolutely. Let me kind of clarify that just a little bit, because in airline maintenance, basically there's basically four phases: A, B, C, D type maintenance. A stuff would be very simple stuff, oil changes, that sort of thing. And then the B check would be done at a certain number of hours or cycles, and then C would be something beyond that. The D's would be the real heavy maintenance. That's where the airplane has been flying probably for over 6 years, at least that probably. And it's basically taking the airplane apart and putting it back together. I mean, they take the engines off, they're rebuilt and everything, but to save money, that can go to China, it can go to San Salvador, it can go to Hong Kong.
I mean, it occurs to me that, you know, the manuals for these aircraft are written in English, and you're sending them to workers who may not speak or be able to read English.
Yes, you have to have at least a certain number of people there with the airframe and power plant ratings. Now, they're supposed to be able to speak, read, write, and speak the English language. As a former examiner issuing over 1,000 ratings over 23 years, that was one of the criteria. You had to make certain that that person could speak, read, and understand the English language.
So what do you make of to the facts that we were talking about in Adam's story, that on one hand, and even today, we're seeing aircraft with smoke in the cockpit. We've had a number of situations recently, a woman killed on a Southwest flight. But on the other hand, the safety record for the airlines over the last decade has been spectacular.
It really has. My experience after 55 years in this business, that we see those clusters over time. You notice that what's happening. You know, you ask that obvious question: why aren't they doing their job? And then you can go for long periods of times, and we're not seeing that. But I think this is unfortunately one of those times. It just seems to. They all come together, unfortunately.
What do you think of the FAA philosophy as of the last few years, that instead of fining and citing airlines for maintenance deficiencies that come up, that they are pulling back on that and basically taking the position of working with the airlines to fix it and not coming down hard on them?
Really, it boils down to the FAA not having the personnel to do the job. Let me give you kind of an example. Running a shop back in 1980, when the FAA had a very good budget and a lot of personnel. I'd get a knock on the door and someone would show up, and it's the guy from the FAA. He's there to inspect my operation. He said, bring that airplane in, take the cowling off and do this. And they actually inspect that. They can't do that today. It becomes less that they're relying on the operation, whether it's a small general aviation repair station or operation or an airline type operation. The personnel are just not there from the FAA.
When did that change?
That was just a slow progressive change over the years. But I would say in 1980, by the time I kind of got out of the business around, or basically retired in 2004, you would see an FAA inspector come in and want to look simply at your logbooks, never look at the airplane, and want to make sure the records were correct, that they were signed correctly, everything, all the I's dotted and the T's crossed.
So what would you tell folks who are watching this now, who, you know, if you live and work around here, you're traveling a lot, and on one hand, you're seeing an overall safety record that seems pretty safe over the last decade. On the other hand, you're seeing in black and white horrific stories over the last few weeks that really should give anyone pause.
I know. I would say personally, I have no fear of flying. I have personally never had an accident myself, teaching all the pilots that I've taught, or on an airline. I've never been involved in any kind of, even an incident in all these years. So I know that sort of thing comes, but I also look, as I told my wife, one death since '09, and in that period of time we've had some 250,000 people killed on the road. I mean, how do you, I know if I also showed you people a stack of airworthiness directives that are on all aircraft, that's large, small, helicopters, gliders, they're books that are probably,
and I have gone through those records, and if you read them, if you just take them, you know, factually, it would scare the dickens out of most people.
Yes, it would. The average person on the street.
But that obviously does not translate into real accidents on massive scales.
No. See, each airline, each repair station, every time they find a problem, they're required by law to fill out this statement that has to be submitted to the FAA, and they compile those, and as they see trends developing of that same problem with, let's say, American, United, and so forth, put those together and incentive
We
bulletin.
We have less than a minute left, but I want to ask you one more question. It's kind of political, but given the number of incidents we've had recently, when you look at congressional oversight and the government's willingness to do anything about anything these days, do you think that there would be any kind of crackdown?
Well, as I said in my previous piece on this station, that I think the FAA has to go back and seriously look at some of the maintenance procedures that are being performed. I really do.
But that needs time and money.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And of course, with the lack of personnel at the FAA level. I think just one other quick comment. There's the FAA at the national level, but having worked out of 3 regions as an examiner, they each have their own culture as well. So that has an impact as well. There's the FAA, then there's the FAA, then there's the FAA.
All right, we have to leave it there, but thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you to Buck Greenlaw, who is a former aviation consultant, for joining us tonight. When we return, we're going to be joined by a congressional candidate named Tim Canova. Stay with us. We'll explain.
Hi, I'm Chef Bob. Watch Aprons in the Kitchen every Wednesday morning on ABC7, where we'll be serving up the most awesome dishes. Then stop by your neighborhood Publix, pick up the recipe card and all the ingredients.
Accolades are great. Just wait until you see our prices. Rugs as Art, Sarasota's only area rug superstore.
The following message is brought to you by Mesobook.com.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. How did I get this disease? What are my treatment options? How will this affect my loved ones? You need answers, which is why we offer a free book written by medical professionals who have treated mesothelioma.
Call toll-free at 1-800-777-1366 or go to mesobook.com.
Once you get atrial fibrillation, you need to have a very close relationship with your primary doctor. Prevention is the whole ball game here, because once you have a stroke, you can't undo it. A year without stroke, it's a year that you can enjoy doing the things that you've worked all your life to finally get to do. You took care of yourself. You did what is necessary for you to be around one more year. And then next year, we'll celebrate one more year without a stroke.
Every child follows a path in life. For many, that path will lead them to a door that gives them a place to grow, to learn, to belong, a place to forge their future. Because while many doors open, these doors transform. They did for us. Support your local Boys and Girls Clubs. Great futures start here.
Here's today's job of the day. ABC7 is seeking a part-time digital media producer to write and post fresh, engaging content to our website. Excellent writing skills and newsroom experience required. Visit mysuncoast.com/joboftheday to apply.
Welcome back. We often talk about the upcoming midterm elections, and it can be problematic for the Republicans, but what about the Democrats? They may be united in their opposition to President Trump, but there are huge divisions amongst Democrats dating back to the 2016 campaign, and nobody knows that more than our next guest, Tim Canova, who primaried Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who at the time was the chair of the Democratic National Committee. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you, Alan.
Now, by trade, you are a college professor at Nova Southeastern, correct?
Actually, a law professor, yes.
Okay. And everybody was watching your race in 2016 because it's not every day that one primaries a sitting congresswoman, but not only that, you know, she was the chairperson of the Democratic National Committee. That was a tough race for you.
It was. It was an exciting race. I was a candidate for less than 8 months against the sitting chair of the Democratic National Committee. And at the beginning of the race, of course, I had no name recognition whatsoever. And in the final 2 months, we really closed very quickly near the end. The official result was that we fell short by about a shift of 3,000 votes would have changed the election result. And a couple of months after the election, we put in a public records request to inspect the ballots. We were going to inspect the ballots in about a dozen precincts. a number of folks had concerns that the official tally might have been off. And it was a real education for me because we were forced to sue to see those ballots. The supervisor of elections stonewalled our request and we sued. We sued last June, and while the suit was pending, the supervisor of elections destroyed all of our paper ballots in violation of federal law.
But when you did run, you did you raised a lot of money, and a lot of that was in a similar fashion to Bernie Sanders. You had a lot of support from Bernie Sanders and from those who support him, and that kind of basically frames the divisions in the Democratic Party between establishment Democrats and, is it establishment versus Democrats, progressives, or could there progressives be part of the establishment?
Well, I do think there's a progressive establishment that has grown up in the past couple of years. So it's unclear exactly where the lines are drawn. But I do agree that a big part of what separates our campaign and a lot of grassroots campaigns from an incumbent like Wasserman Schultz is how we raise money. And folks could go online to opensecrets.org. They keep track of all congressional campaigns. And you'll see that Debbie Wasserman Schultz has been taking millions of dollars from the biggest Wall Street banks and private prison companies and a whole bunch of interests that make it very difficult to represent your constituents.
So now you are running again, but this time you have left the Democratic Party and you are running as an independent.
Yes. Well, I was trying to get the party to join me in calling for an investigation of what happened to the paper ballots in our race. You know, when folks start losing faith and confidence that their ballots are even being counted, there's a real problem in our democracy. And there was just nothing but silence from party officials. And it seems, well, why should I run in a closed Democratic primary where they really rig everything against a challenger to an incumbent? The incumbent gets showered with corporate money and doesn't really have to debate. They're fine with Wasserman Schultz dodging debates. So by running as an independent, it opens up the field. There's so many people now. I think nationwide, 45% of voters are now non-party affiliation. They're bigger than either the Democratic or Republican Party.
Right. There is a lot of energy inside the Democratic Party during these midterms, and there's a lot of predictions about whether or not the Democrats can take over the House in the very least. But do you believe there is the energy to basically vote out an incumbent Democrat who is well known like Debbie Wasserman Schultz?
Well, I think we almost did it last time, and I do think folks want change, and many people are tired of these incumbents. The approval rating of Congress is in single digits now, and yet members of Congress get reelected at 95% reelection rates. So what is wrong with our system? It means we take a look at the districts, they're gerrymandered, so they favor one party over another, and then they have closed Democratic and closed Republican primaries in the state. So it locks most voters out of the system. And these are taxpayer-financed primaries as well. So it seems very unfair to most people that this is the way things are done in our state.
Let me ask you this. We have a minute left in this segment, but is there a problem right now within the Democratic Party amongst both sides of it that there are litmus tests that you know, the Bernie people believe that if somebody's been working in Democratic politics for a long time, that they, you know, they're part of the establishment and they would never get the support of supporters and vice versa?
I think for the progressive side, the litmus tests are usually geared towards how do you raise your money and where do you stand on specific issues. Are you for Medicare for all? Are you for jobs programs for average folks, for working people and low-income folks? Those are the litmus tests that I think it's good that we have those tests. For the establishment, they have their own litmus tests. They don't want to speak to you unless you've raised a few $100,000, unless you're what they consider to be viable.
Okay, we have to take a quick break, and we'll be back with Tim Canova right after this.
Since 1972, Sleep King has provided quality mattresses and accessories at the best discounted prices available. Top brands like Simmons, Sealy, Serta, Beautyrest, iComfort, and more. With available free delivery, free financing, and free setup and removal. For a comfortable night's sleep with same-day delivery, even if we have to carry it on our backs. Trust Sleep King of Sarasota. Buy it today, sleep on it tonight.
Hi, I'm Janelle Hale, founder and CEO of the National Breast Cancer Foundation. No one should face breast cancer alone. When I was diagnosed 36 years ago, there was no internet, and I had to make a decision with little information. Early detection saved my life. It could save yours too. To learn what every woman needs to know about breast cancer, visit nbcf.org/hope.
Dear parents, it's time for a pop quiz. What's the best kind of play for kids? Play that makes us think? Or helps us pretend? Or teaches us rules? Or to be creative? Actually, every kind of play is important because different kinds of play give us different kinds of skills. Help us mix up the ways we play. Okay, class dismissed. Now go play.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
Welcome back. We are continuing our conversation with congressional candidate Tim Canova, who is running in the district that is Broward County. And we're talking to you because you may be well known in Democratic circles here in Florida because you primaried Debbie Wasserman Schultz in 2016, and you are running against her again, but this time as an independent. How did you come to that decision to leave the Democratic Party and not run as a Democrat?
Well, I first registered as a Democrat when I turned 18, when I first registered to vote. And out of college, I took a job on Capitol Hill as a legislative aide for the late U.S. Senator Paul Tsongas, a Democrat. So I've been a Democrat most of my life, and this was a very tough decision to come to. But it was very clear that the closed primary at the end of August is a very fixed in many ways. It's very much rigged to get the incumbents back in. It makes it very difficult for challengers like me. And at the same time, as I mentioned earlier, the party just didn't want to investigate the destruction of paper ballots. So that silence was deafening. And at the same time, you take a look at this younger generation, the Parkland students who are stepping up, for instance, millennials, Gen Xers, and younger, they're anything but silent all of a sudden, and most of them are non-party affiliation. So I think this is a great opportunity to broaden and deepen our democracy.
But let me ask you this. If you're talking about the more progressive wing of the Democratic Party and those who have been involved in Democratic politics for years, do they agree on the vast majority of the issues that are out there, and therefore isn't the energy best spent, if you're on the Democratic side, to defeating Republicans this fall?
Well, I think Democrats should try to be defeating Republicans, but look at their strategy for the past decade. The Democratic Party has been trying to marginalize the progressive base of its party for a decade, and the results have been a disaster for the Democratic Party. When you take a look at the Democratic strength or lack of strength in the U.S. House of Representatives, the Senate, state legislatures, and governorships, it is the weakest position the Democratic Party has been in 98 years, since 1920. So it's clearly not working. You know, the past 10 years since the financial collapse of 2008 has been very good for elite interests. Wall Street has done very well. The Federal Reserve gave trillions of dollars of support to the big banks. The stock market rebounded. But I think for most Americans, this has been a Great Depression in jobs and income and savings.
So let me ask you this question, broadening out just from the Broward congressional district that you're running in, but looking around the entire state, including this area here. This area, I can't recall the last time a Democrat was elected in this congressional district, although it's been redistricted. This year, you know, the national pundits are saying it is less Republican than it might be, that Vera Buchanan, the incumbent, may be in real danger. But there are a lot of skeptics out there. Given the energy of Democrats and progressives, do you think that the Democrats have a real shot in winning this district?
I do. And there are a number of districts in South Florida that have been held by Republican members of Congress, members of the House, even though those districts have been voting Democrat in presidential election years. They are ripe for the taking. I've been working hard to try to support progressive candidates in some of these districts. And even though I'm an independent right now, I will probably be supporting a number of Democrats who are fighting it out for the fall. We want to see progressives that are elected across the board. I think for most Americans now and most Floridians, they don't even look at things as Democrat versus Republican right now as much as insider versus outsider and corruption versus integrity.
But what would you say to people who say the problem with both parties is that the Republicans have gone too far to the right and the Democrats have gone too far to the left, and the people who are in the middle really feel that they are underrepresented?
Well, I hear that a lot, and I'm not sure I agree with it very much. You take a look at actual issues, such as Medicare for all, the idea of a universal coverage for health insurance. Supermajorities of Democrats and of independents support it, and even a majority of Republican voters support it now. And yet both party establishments have not been able to go that way and get it done. It seems to me that both party establishments, it's not left versus right, they're mostly swimming in special interest money, big industries, big corporations, whereas the people of this country want real solutions that are going to help us, not just with health care, but the rising costs of education, the deterioration of our K-12 public schools, the lousy job market, stagnant incomes. All those things are not being addressed because both of the mainstream establishments of the political parties have no interest in helping the folks. They're really pandering to their base of supporters, their donors, their corporate donor class.
All right, Tim Canova, thanks for joining us and good luck to you.
Thank you.
FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. We want to thank Tim Canova, who is running for Congress, for joining us this evening. And when we return, we'll have a final look at your first alert weather, plus our primetime headlines, so stay with us.
I just need a second.
Is your weight holding you back and affecting your health?
Did you see this? Your cousin had a heart attack.
Really?
Excess weight or obesity can be serious, but you can do something about it. Visit yourweightmatters.org. Download the free toolkit to prepare you to speak with a healthcare provider. Your weight does matter. Accept the challenge and take charge today. Visit yourweightmatters.org.
The thought of my sons growing up without me inspired me to quit smoking.
I talked to my doctors, and then I threw away all my cigarettes, ashtrays, and lighters.
I started exercising instead of smoking.
Letting my friends online know I was quitting kept me on track.
Staying away from alcohol when I was first quitting was key.
I kept on trying, learned something each time.
Do whatever it takes.
No matter how many times it takes.
We did it. You can too.
For free help, visit cdc.gov/tips.
It's been about a month, and I can honestly say I've seen the change in me. I went from being a depressed girl who didn't want help to this happy, caring girl who loves helping other people. I just really hope that people that went through what I went through get the help that they need, because their story is important and they are loved. Thank you so much for everything.
To be able to just get my son here and not think about how we will pay for it, it just takes so much weight off of my family. St. Jude allowed me to focus on being a mom to Bryce. And sometimes I'm just in awe of the impact St. Jude has, not only on this community, but the world.
Now your ABC7 First Alert Weather Forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Okay, another ho-hum day, right? Perfect weather for the beaches. Nice clear water out there with that east wind. Always keeping things clear with lack of rainfall. Makes for great visibility for divers and snorkelers alike near the coast. We had a few clouds move in this evening. The good news is that the air quality wasn't nearly as high. Still in the moderate range, don't get me wrong there, but nothing approaching the unhealthy for sensitive people. Again, that's the result of more of an easterly wind, never allowing that sea breeze to penetrate too far inland. A lot of times that ozone develops offshore and then moves in with the sea breeze, so we didn't see much of that. Unfortunately, the fire danger remains high here and will do so Thursday and Friday, even into Saturday, although we'll see a little bit more moisture move into place, so maybe not as high, but very high fire danger for Manatee, Sarasota, and Charlotte counties. as a result of the low humidity tomorrow, and a bit breezy, not really too bad. Dry through Friday, a slight chance for a shower or two on Saturday. That's come down because the model's again slowing things down. And then we'll see a better chance for rain on Sunday and into Monday as a result of a low pressure area that's going to try and develop in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Right now, all that tropical moisture down south into Cuba and over parts of the central Bahamas, but nothing going on here for us. I mentioned that sea breeze. You can see it just a little bit right there, starting to move east, but now being held off right along I-75, and it has moved through the western portion of our viewing area. 88 degrees now. It's Sarasota, 83 in Orlando, temperature of 86 in Mayaca. Braden, you're at 88 degrees, and 87 in Northport. Venice, 86. Well, it's sunny and it's dry. Temperatures now, dew point temperatures really low, and that's 29% on the relative humidity. The GFS forecast for Saturday does call for some clouds around and maybe a few spotty showers out in the Gulf and down in the Keys, just indicative of this moisture traveling northward. We'll start to see some of that enter into the picture. Come Sunday morning, there's a chance for a few showers, a better chance for the afternoon and evening variety of showers, and possibly a few thunderstorms. You see a little twist in the atmosphere right there. In fact, some of the isobars are showing close low. It will be a weak one at that. We're not anticipating anything significant in terms of wind, but we will see a better chance for showers and storms Sunday, Monday, and stretching into a little bit of Tuesday. Elsewhere across the U.S., things are fairly quiet over the southern tier of states. The northern storm track now, this storm shifting off to the east and moving through Michigan as well as into Minnesota and Wisconsin. Highs tomorrow, cooler over the northern Rockies, 68 in Billings. Warmer, though, in St. Louis, 90 degrees for a high. They could actually be warmer there than here along the Sun Coast. We'll be very close to where they are. Beach and boating. East winds turn to the north at 10 knots. Seas will be running 1 to 2 feet. Nice boating weather. Water temperature 78. UV index will be high. Beaches will see a high right around 85 degrees. So a bit cooler if you're right near the coast. And the extended forecast. So Thursday, 88, close to 90. We get to Friday, still a slight chance for a late day shower. 30% on Saturday, and then for Mother's Day, the rain chance at 50%, and as I mentioned, most of that in the afternoon. As far as that goes, we are anticipating, looks like partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies on Mother's Day with a good chance for scattered showers and storms, a high temperature of 85 degrees. And there's the Mother's Day's card for all the mothers out there. And we'll see 85 degrees, some clouds and showers in the mix, and then 50% chance for showers on Monday, less of a chance on Tuesday. Ellen will be back right after this. Stick around.
If you're only hungry for a slice of apple pie, why buy the whole pie? And you certainly wouldn't want to pay for an all-you-can-eat buffet. So if you don't use your cell phone that much, why get charged for a plan that's too big, or even an unlimited plan? Luckily, there's still a wireless company that shares your values. Welcome to Consumer Cellular. Our average customer pays about $25 a month for everything they need. Many pay even less, as plans start at just $15 a month. You'll get a straightforward bill that's easy to understand with no surprises and all the attention you deserve from our friendly customer service team. No wonder Consumer Cellular has received the J.D. Power Award for highest customer service 4 times in a row. Plus, if you're an AARP member, you'll receive special discounts. It's easy to switch. You can even keep your phone and your number. So stop paying for more than you need and start your 30-day risk-free trial today. Call 800-457-2317. Go online or visit a Target store today.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TruStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call. TruStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
And even if you're on a fixed income, prices fit your budget, starting at less than 32 cents a day. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease. And with no medical tests or health questions, you cannot be turned down for any reason. Call 1-800-842-7189. Now, for a free, no-obligation quote, TruStage offers plans to fit your budget. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TruStage. Call 1-800-842-7189 now.
My credit score was not that great.
I didn't understand what went into my credit score.
It was overwhelming.
Do you want to attain better credit health but don't know where to start? Credit Sesame can help by providing you a free credit score.
I love the app. It's so easy to use. It's like having your own financial coach.
Credit Sesame broke my credit score down into things that I understood, and it made me think I can do this.
And the awesome thing about Credit Sesame, it's free.
It's 100% free.
You don't need to go it alone. Get started today at creditsesame.com.
Checking primetime headlines, Stormy Daniels' attorney Michael Avenatti out with new documents which he claims to show a shell company President Trump's personal lawyer set up received millions in dollars of payments, including money from a company reportedly tied to a Russian billionaire with links to Vladimir Putin. ABC's Tara Palmieri has more from Washington.
It's a stormy day.
Stormy Daniels' lawyer Michael Avenatti is making new claims about the money trail from President Trump's personal lawyer Michael Cohen to his client. Avenatti releasing a document his firm prepared. Cohen set up to pay Daniels for that $130,000 hush agreement just days before the election. The Avenatti report allegedly shows one company called Columbus Nova transferred $500,000 in installments into the account maintained by Cohen. Avenatti claims the U.S. firm has ties to a company controlled by Russian oligarch Viktor Vekselberg. ABC has not independently seen or verified the documents Avenatti says his report is based on, and Avenatti does not provide any evidence about how the money received was distributed. The New York Times reported earlier this year that special counsel Robert Mueller's team has interviewed Vekselberg, but an attorney with Columbus Nova said last night the company's ownership is entirely American, and that Vekselberg had nothing to do with its business dealings with Cohen.
Michael Cohen should release the bank statements and the bank records for the American people to see. And if we're wrong, we're wrong.
Previously, Michael Cohen said the money he paid to porn star Stormy Daniels came from a personal home equity loan he took out. And just last week, Rudy Giuliani, another Trump lawyer, said the president paid Cohen back. According to Avenatti's report, Essential Consultants received a total of $4.4 million, including wire transfers from a number of major corporations doing business inside the U.S., among them, drug company Novartis and AT&T, which wired Cohen payments totaling $200,000. ABC News can confirm the special counsel's team has spoken with representatives of Novartis. Novartis says they entered into an agreement, now expired, with Essential Consultants. The company told ABC News they paid Cohen $100,000 per month for 12 months, for a total of $1.2 million, for advice on healthcare policy. AT&T said Cohen's firm was engaged to, quote, provide insights into the new administration and did no legal or lobbying work. Avenatti is refusing to say how he obtained the documents he claims his report is based on, but says there'll be more revelations. Michael Cohen and his attorney did not respond to requests for comment from ABC News. Tara Palmieri, ABC News, Washington.
3 Americans detained in North Korea for years are now on their way back home. This after Secretary of State Mike Pompeo traveled to North Korea and met with Kim Jong-un yesterday. The two negotiated not just the prisoners being released, but also President Trump's own meeting with Kim. The 3 detainees are expected to land in Washington at 2 a.m. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.